Hi friends, I have a question for you. Do you like being busy? Do you like to wear the badge of busyness as a badge of honor in your life? How does busyness make you feel? Does it make you feel like you're important? Does it contribute to your status or your self-worth that you have about yourself? If you love being busy, how would you describe to me your mental, physical, relational, spiritual, emotional health? Well, we are going to talk about all of those things in today's video. Hi, I'm Megan, and I am a board certified and nationally licensed addictions therapist, and I practice from a Christian worldview. And this is Megan's Search for Meaning, where we talk about hard things so we can find joy and healing in this journey called life. The problem with busyness, or the busyness battle. Research shows that our amount of busyness is actually connected to our viewpoint of our self-worth. It makes us feel like we're important, makes us feel like we're presenting value to our families or to our places of work, in our careers, to our society, and it makes us feel important, which elevates our self-worth to where we feel better about ourselves. However, the thing that we don't talk a lot about is that busyness also relates to us trying to numb out our feelings. If I'm super busy in my life and I'm just go, 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 do, then I don't really have the time to feel whatever feelings I have. And a lot of times we might try to be busy to numb out those negative feelings like anger, sadness, grief, frustration, confusion. But when we're numbing our feelings, we're also numbing the good, like joy and excitement and things that we're looking forward to in the future with anticipation and hope. We don't get to feel those things either. There's several things that busyness can do in relation to how it affects our life. In regards to mental health, busyness can have some pretty drastic effects. We can feel really stressed out. We can feel like we're inadequate in our job or in our families or in our society. It can lead to sadness and frustration, anger, loneliness, hopelessness. We feel like we're incompetent, and that leads us to feeling guilty. And all of these things, if we continue to feel them, can actually create serious mental health concerns such as anxiety, depression, which then can lead us into addiction disorders such as substance use disorders, issues with food, gambling, sex, shopping, the way that we're working out. It can lead to a lot of addictive behaviors that aren't really fun to wrestle with. In regards to the physical aspects of what busyness can do, the biggest one is that we're making poor choices in regards to our diet and exercise. If I'm so busy that I'm not able to eat healthy foods that are beneficial to my body, if I'm not able to work out and move my body, because believe it or not, our bodies are designed and created to move. And if I'm not making healthy choices in terms of how I am spending whatever free time I have, and I'm just vegging out watching hours and hours of TV or dead scrolling on my phone, those can all lead to continual health effects, such as if I'm not feeling well because of the choices I've been making, maybe I don't go to the doctor. This was a personal experience for me in the thick of raising our kids and me building a career and trying to manage a home and all of the things that I'm a part of in my community. I found a lump in my neck, and I let that lump sit there for years, literally for years. And by the time I got it checked out, I had 3 very large cancerous tumors on my thyroid. And I had to have my thyroid removed. It had spread to my lymph nodes, and I have to deal with the lifelong consequences of being somebody who's had cancer. And I can't do anything to change it now, but the thought does cross my mind of, if I had gone to the doctor when I found that lump, would they have been able to save my thyroid? Would it have not spread to my lymph nodes? Those are questions I'll never have the answer to, but it's definitely something that makes me think. In regards to relational health, when we are super busy, we don't have time to connect with people. And we are wired, God has literally wired us that our deepest connections that we have are with Him and with family. And so when we're so busy that we can't spend time with our family, we can't take a walk with our kids or take them to the park, we can't go have coffee with our spouse, we can't stop and have a 20-minute conversation with our parents on the way home from work. When we're not building and investing in these relationships, they will start to crumble. And then when we go through hard times, because unfortunately we will all go through hard times in this life, we don't have the support system because we haven't invested in it. And we feel lonely, which again leads to depression and anxiety and all of those things because we don't have that deepest need within us being met. So, where does this come from? Or how can we relate this to our faith? Our anchor verse for today is in Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 42. And just like any problem that we can find in our lives in modern times today, we can find the answers or somebody who can relate to those problems in the Bible, because there's nothing new under the sun, believe it or not. And so in Luke chapter 10, starting in verses 38, we meet two sisters. Their names are Mary and Martha. And the text says that now it happened as they went that he being Jesus, entered a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she approached him and said, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Therefore, tell her to help me." And Jesus answered and said to her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen that good part, which will not be taken from her." So when we look at this text, we see that Martha is engaged in what she feels brings her value. There must have been a reason that she invited Jesus into her home, probably because she had heard about him. Maybe she had heard some of his teachings, and when he came to her town, she genuinely wanted to be hospitable to him. She wanted to serve him because she liked what he had to say, or she may have even believed at this time that he was the Messiah. So her heart was in the right place. And how many times does that happen to us where our heart is in the right place? We want to serve in a ministry, or we want to help a cause in our city that is really big and really wonderful, and we want to be a part of it. But yet, when we start doing it, we seem to lose that heart's desire, just like Martha did. She got so caught up because Jesus had an entourage. He had crowds following him. So it wasn't just serving Jesus, it was serving everybody that came with him. The Middle Eastern Jewish culture is very hospitable. So if people are in your house, you serve them. And so again, she's doing everything that's culturally appropriate. She's serving, she's opening her home, and her heart was again in that right place. But she got distracted and she lost the joy. She lost everything that we're supposed to receive from serving because she was so busy. She was busy maybe thinking she had to make everything perfect for Jesus. Maybe instead of putting out some olive oil and bread, she felt she had to make a huge dinner for everybody. And she was panicking about how much money she had and would she be able to make enough and how long it would take to make the food for all of these people. And you can see how this starts to unravel, and you get very distracted and you get very busy and you start worrying about things that maybe you don't have control over, or you do have control over, but you're scrambling to control it all, and it just becomes so overwhelming and too much to bear. Have you ever been there? If you can relate to Martha and you are overtired, you are overwhelmed, and you're just plain over it, it may be time for a change. So here are some points to ponder to help you start making some of those changes. Number 1, We want to be praying and we want to be journaling about those prayers. You will probably hear that in every single video that I post. And the reason is because we as humans, we are designed as external processors. And what that means is we have to get things out of our head. Anything that humans create is a form of expression. The clothes you wear, the buildings that architects design, the way you design your house, the way that you the kind of car you drive, or the way that you style your hair. All of that is you expressing something about yourself. And so praying and journaling creates the ability for you to express what you're feeling inside of yourself. And by praying about it, you're actually giving it to the wonderful counselor. And you're able to meditate on that and meditate on his word, journal about it, and see what he speaks to your heart. Step number 2 is to make it a priority to spend time with your loved ones. I know this may seem pretty like, duh, Megan, but usually that's the first thing that we cut off the chopping block when we're so busy. I can't do game night with my kids because I have a project that's due for work. I can't go on that date with my spouse because we just have too much going on at the house that needs to be done. I can't go and visit my parents just because I'm working so late and it's just going to take too much time, but I'll go visit them during the weekend after the kids' soccer game. That's the first thing that gets cut, but it's the first thing that we need to be making priority for after our time with God. And the reason, again, is because that is where our deepest connections come from. We are wired that way, and family and our loved ones are so important. So make it a priority to spend time. Number 3 is to take a Sabbath. A Sabbath doesn't have to be the traditional Sabbath that it was in Jewish culture from Friday evening to Saturday evening. A Sabbath can be any day that you want to make it. We live in Las Vegas, and so this is a 24-hour city, and there's lots of people that work all sorts of crazy hours. And so pick a day that works for you and your family, and it may not even be able to be a day. Pick a chunk of time then that works for you, that this is my Sabbath. I'm going to rest. And resting can be, I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to play a game with my kids. I'm going to color with them, or I'm going to take a walk and just enjoy nature around my neighborhood, or if you're able to, go for a hike. But do something that causes you to rest and gives you space to think and to feel and to spend time with your loved ones. Because here's the thing, is that when we start practicing taking a Sabbath, we stop striving and we get to see how God provides for us. And it is a wonderful, wonderful experience. Number 4 is to take small moments every day to remind yourself of what God says about you. When we're busy and we can't feel our feelings and we don't have time to think, our self-worth and self-esteem can start to go down, especially when we get to that place where we're feeling all of those feelings of anger and frustration and sadness and loneliness. Our self-worth goes down, down, down. And so when we take those small moments every day to remember what God says about us, it helps us to keep our self-worth up and in its proper place of, I am loved, I am cherished, I am chosen, I am adopted. And you can do things like write it out on Post-it cards or index cards and put it around your office or your home, even in your car, so that when you get in your car, you see a little Post-it that says you are loved. When you get home, on your garage door, there's a little Post-it that says God has a plan and a purpose for you. And it's these reminders that keep us going and keep us in a place where we can combat those feelings, because feelings are indicators, not dictators. So we want to make sure that we're combating those feelings with what is true. Number 5, you will hear it in every single video. Practice gratitude. When we're praising God for what we have and we're giving Him thanks for what we have, sometimes that in and of itself can cancel out the cycle of busyness, because why do I need to take on another project for my business? I'm so thankful for the life that I have, and we're doing really great. And you know what? I just don't feel like I need to do that right now. and you're able to really consider and prioritize what's important. Number 6, my favorite thing too. As my friends say, I am the queen of boundaries, and so practice setting boundaries. We will talk about boundaries in a whole nother series down the road, so stay tuned for that. Number 7 is set an alarm to remind you to do these things. Pick a couple that really speak to you and set an alarm at 1:14 every afternoon. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to give thanks to God for what He's given me that day. At 3:17 in the afternoon, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to look at the little stickies that I wrote down where I'm reminded of God's truth. Whichever one of these points to ponder speaks to you, just set an alarm so that you can practice a couple of them throughout the day. Number 8 is set realistic expectations for yourself. You want to be able to look at your schedule, look at what your commitments are, and really have that conversation. It's good to have this conversation with your loved ones to say, what are some realistic expectations on what I can handle this week? And everybody joins in the conversation. And you do this while maintaining the boundaries of the Sabbath time that you want to create and the time with your loved ones. Don't violate those boundaries when you're setting those expectations. Number 9, if you've been practicing some of these things and those feelings of just, I'm overwhelmed, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, and I just feel like I can't get ahead, and none of this seems to be working, it might be time to talk to a therapist to see kind of what's going on the inside and to help you process that. If you aren't able or ready to talk to a therapist, then maybe have coffee with a friend that you know you can trust, and they can help you talk some of this stuff out to give you some idea of what's going on inside. And finally, number 10, you want to schedule your time in chunks. So you want to say, I work and I'm doing these things from this time to this time. And I'm going to have leisure time from this time to this time. If you try and do this like I'm wandering all over my schedule kind of thing, that's going to add to your busyness and add to you feeling overwhelmed. You want to be able to say from 10 to 2 is when I am doing my phone calls and my follow-up emails and all of these things for the business. And then from 2 to 3:30, I'm going to make some phone calls to friends and family, or I'm going to do some homework with my child, whatever it may be. If you have the mindset, oh, I'm going to make some phone calls for the business, and then I'm going to do my kids' homework, and then I'm going to rush over and make dinner, and then go back to doing my kids' homework with them, and you're just going to get caught in that cycle of busyness. So make sure you're chunking out your time so that you're able to schedule it all. All right, friends, that's it for today's video. If this video encouraged you, I would love to hear how and love to hear your thoughts in the comments about what you think about busyness and your struggles with busyness. And if you want to have more encouraging content, make sure you click that like button and the subscribe, because we want to be able to provide lots of information to you where we merge therapy and theology together. Until next time, let's find joy in the journey.